At this time, we'll call the Tuesday, June 21st, 2022 meeting of the Jackson County Board of Supervisors to order. Larry McDevitt, Mike Steinis, and myself, the county supervisors. We have Lisa Smith and Bjorn Beck from the auditor's office, and Lynn Oki, our administrative assistant, making sure we have things on the straight and narrow. First item on the agenda is Todd Kenny, our acting interim Jackson County engineer. Good morning, Todd.
Morning.
Good morning. Just full of good news for us today, right?
I suppose. All right. So the first item going by the agenda here is the approval and award of the fiscal year 2023 Rural County Transportation Funds. So that's the small cities that make application. There's a committee that ranks them. The ECIA sends a summary letter of memo. I think you guys did
Yeah,
that.
got that.
And they rank them. It looks like you guys have about the same application process we do. Like if a city has was awarded like the previous year, they subtract points from their application.
Yeah.
Like I think it's 75 points off if you got it last year, 50 if the year before. So basically, what's in the resolution is based on the recommendations from Bellevue gets 25 miles, 25, and Sevilla 20. There's $5,000 set aside. It's the ECIA staff administration costs, plus they help fill out the applications process.
We've always done that. We
Morning,
haven't
Chandra.
received, morning, Chandra. We haven't received the packet until yesterday morning. I was able to review that. I was kind of shocked that there wasn't more applications. And that two of the applications got theirs, approved with a -40 score. Are we running out of projects, or are we not? Is somebody just not applying, maybe? Chandra, can you hear me?
So
Chandra, can you hear us okay?
they need to reach out
You're
to more of the
muted.
cities and let them know what's going on.
They're supposed to, ECIA is supposed to have like,
Hello,
oh, it's a kickoff meetings, but review meetings with the small city.
hello.
Yeah.
There?
I hear you.
What's wrong?
Now we can hear you, Chandra.
Chandra.
He was there for a minute.
Well, I made a note to talk
Okay,
to
there-
Stacy.
Now
Let's
it's
chat now.
Okay, are you on, Chandra?
Let's see.
Can you hear me now? No?
Yes.
We can.
No.
Now we can. I'm not able to hear anything.
I heard him, yeah.
Chandra. He left.
If he's gonna call.
Try again.
Try again, yeah.
I was able to look them, we got the pictures and the whatnot last night and the whole packet we got, substantial, whatever, like Bellevue, Miles and Sevilla were awarded. And they look legit to me that there was.
Yeah, but the eligibility of projects is pretty wide open.
I think the problem with some of that is maybe is the cost share is like with Baldwin and Andrew and such that they just
Sure
can't
it is.
afford to come up with their share of the funds if they're doing projects. I don't know.
Yeah, they get more points if they provide more of a cost share
Right.
too, so.
Right.
It's something you can look at changing the application to reduce that, but
I guess my question to him was, are they applying or something? It doesn't look like they applied. These four apparently applied and Mile or Preston didn't get approved.
Yeah, because they must have got money last year, so,
Well, I thought Bellevue got money
yeah, they did.
Yeah.
They got, so there's minus 75 for Bellevue.
last year. Yeah, I seen that.
So they got money last year as well. I don't like, so in Clinton County, we keep a spreadsheet since we started the program of who applied and who got awarded. And I was gonna see if Stacy could put together the same thing, because then you can kind of track, because we have a small city, Andover hasn't applied yet. So I emailed Chandra, I'm like, hey, why aren't they applying? And if they need help picking out projects, let me know. So at least we can kind of figure out why they're not applying.
Sure.
I don't say it's free money, but it's basically free money.
Well, yeah, and you know as well as I do, probably Andover needs some ADA curbs here and there too, I suppose.
Without
Well,
a
even if
doubt.
they're just gonna seal coat streets, that's simple, get a price from Manats
Yeah.
and put it through. I mean,
Yeah.
something as simple as that, so.
Did we always do it by resolution? Are you guys always do?
If you're awarding money, I would do it by resolution. Yeah.
So yes, it is a resolution for today, and it is resolution 902-06-21-2022.
I would make a motion to approve that resolution for the RTC. Is that correct? Board.
I'll do second. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carried.
Yeah, so like I'll have Stacy put together a spreadsheet, and then you guys, each time you award, you can see a history of who's got it. Because there's the totals, because like I know in Clinton County, there's some cities around 70,000, and you got another city like Andover hasn't had any yet, so. Not that you try and balance it out, obviously, the bigger the city, the more chances they're gonna need for project work, but
But all of them need some.
yes, they all should be getting some of it. All right. Next one, so this one I gotta read this is for Maggie, so. Secondary Road Department recently advertised for motor grader operator out of the Otter Creek shop. For which interviews have been concluded, a candidate has been selected. And has, I don't know what you say, passed the pre-employment requirements as far as physical and drug and alcohol testing. So therefore, I'm asking for a motion to approve the appointment of Jeffrey Baker to the full-time position of motor grader operator at the current base wage rate.
And that come from who?
This is an email, because I had scheduled a resolution and Becky had said, well, you guys don't do hires by resolution. So she said that when it's on the board's agenda, she said, just ask for a motion to approve the hire.
And you sat in on the interview?
Yes.
Okay, I'll make that motion.
I would second.
A motion and a second to approve the appointment of Jeffrey Baker as a full-time position as a patrol operator for the Otter Creek Shed Shop. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion
Just have a
carried.
question. Do we have some good candidates? You were happy with the,
There was 12 applications. We interviewed 3. In my opinion, you could have hired any 3 of them. I think they're all good. It's kind of interesting. There's some overlap too, because I know we interviewed at least 1, if not 2, of the people that applied in Jackson County for a job in Clinton County. So
that close, Delmer, Clinton County or Clinton?
but evidently nobody wants to work in Delmer, but the last 3 career jobs we've hired have all been out of Delmer. So it's just kind of the luck of the draw. Guys, when there's an opening, they bid to get closer to their home or
Sure.
to do something. It's just kind of, not that Delmer's bad plays, it just kind of just works out that way. So yeah, I was pleased with the applicants you got and their work history and how they interviewed and all that. So like I said, I think you could hire any 3 of them.
Oh, it's good to know.
Yes, it is.
So now what's next? All right, so there's a utility permit.
Wind technology.
Yeah, I just got this today, so.
I guess I'm not familiar with that company either, as far as like Coconut Valley or somebody.
Handhole and conduit for fiber optic cable. We run that through the county.
Well, I'm wondering who they're running it for, if they're running fiber, if it's for Public Valley, or if it's for Lamada, if it's.
So we're Southport,
Southport,
section 25.
section 25.
It says WIN, Wisconsin Independent Network.
Okay.
You guys familiar with that?
No,
Not really. MP we're familiar with and we're familiar
Oh,
with.
I'm thinking Wisconsin Power. We're Coconut Electric.
Does it give a specific address as to where they're installing it?
I'm sorry, can you?
Does it give a specific address or an area other than South Fork, section 25?
Has Mike had a chance to look that over?
Mike just gave this to me this morning. So its work is on South Main Street, 220 feet south of Dog Park Drive, found in section 25 of 84.
So it's right down here
Yeah,
by the new bridge.
yeah, to me, I don't, there's just a little bit of it.
It must be. that
Just a little
stretch,
sliver of
50 foot of county. that
Jackson
goes through
County,
there. That's
yeah.
probably where it is. Okay.
That is, we got a quarter of that.
Yeah, it's right down by the Prairie Creek there, by the dog park. That's where it's at. 220 feet south of Dog Park entrance.
Okay, we know where
Yeah.
that's
I
at.
would
That's
make a
the
motion to approve the underground utility permit as presented.
A second.
Motion and a second to approve the utility permit as presented. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carried.
Looks like it's all directional bore. So, what I give that to you,
Jack will sign it.
Jack will sign it.
Yep.
All right, there's some stuff. These are contracts you guys approved at your previous meeting for LP and diesel, so you just need to sign those too.
Could we have a motion to sign?
I think they did that last week, didn't they? Approve them by motion.
But you're going to approve the board signature on the LP contract and the gas and diesel fuel
Usually
contract
we-
because
He just took them and would bring,
he made his
present them.
recommendation last week.
Oh, so they didn't take action yet.
No,
Okay. All right,
Motion to approve.
Second.
motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
that's all I have on the agenda, unless you have items to discuss. We talked about the issue of signage regarding ATVs.
We
We talked
did.
about that. I printed out the governor's, what she just signed. I read through it a couple times. It's a little, it's not written very well.
It's a little vague.
Are you gonna be here? Because I think Sarah's gonna come and talk to the board.
About that.
Mhm.
Yeah, I should be here most of the, we have a safety committee meeting today, but I'll be here. That's at noon, so.
As I knew, okay. No, I mean, I read the original bill and I highlighted and I believe I sent you the link that Bradley had.
Yeah, I read that one last night. Is that the one that's here now?
Yeah, that's the one that's printed off. You got an extra one?
Oh, I can.
I have one right here.
Oh, you got,
I'm
oh,
looking.
that's the bill itself.
Yeah, this is what's been
Okay, well,
signed
this
into
was
law.
supposed to be, in layman's terms.
The way I look at it, the way I read it is that the board can roads that are not eligible to be ridden on, but there's only certain stipulations, like it has to be a detour route, or there has to be some reason, and you can only do it for like 7 days or something like that.
7 days and a maximum of 30 days for the year.
Yeah, so I would say you do need to probably, I mean, the county attorney probably talked about it, but I think you probably need to rescind your ordinance or revise it.
Well, according to the law or this new bill, that it overrides any current ordinances anyway. So we'll either have to, we've got the ability, the way I read it, we still have the ability to keep our ordinance in place until it's sunset. If we so desire.
It can't.
But if you don't have a sunset in your ordinance, I think you would be in violation.
Then maybe we're free to go all the way we want.
Yeah, you probably, that's a legal question, I would say. But I
There's
would-
kind of there's a couple things. I mean, we talked about the signage too, and I don't remember, guys, When we talked about it, I thought, and I told Todd this, I thought Sarah said
Sarah's in the
Sarah
hall
just
right
went by.
now.
we didn't have to sign it if all the roads, signing, if all the roads were open. Except level
So
C.
that would make
Mhm.
sense, yeah.
That's what I thought we did.
I don't know if that was Clark's explanation of it either. I don't remember who said that.
Well, we can't do the, I mean, now we close at 10 o'clock, what is it, from 6 to 10?
Right now?
Yeah,
Or is
you
it
can't ride at night,
11?
and this says you can.
Yeah.
Well, that's one conflict there.
I think the speed limit was the same, right? What
Yeah.
you had in 35, yeah.
Had to be 18, you gotta have insurance, you gotta have it registered.
The headlights and turn signals and all that, I
Yep,
think is,
yep.
Well, the horn is new.
yeah.
I just bought my kit for mine, turn signals with the horn. on it, so,
And to be honest, I think that's almost. a
I think that's a
necessity.
smart move.
Yeah.
So
So
she
slow
is-
moving sign on the back.
Yeah, she's coming down to talk to the board.
No, that's just for golf carts.
She does have a couple of things that she, and our current ordinance is one of the things that she wants to. talk
Yeah, if you
about.
think you got time for that, otherwise we could switch it up and call her in. That's up to you, Todd.
No, like I said, I have to be here. I gotta review claims, is sit down and go over some policies and stuff before the safety meeting, so. Plan on being here until the safety meeting's over.
Yeah.
Can't know, so,
And you'll be here on Friday?
yes,
Okay.
all right, so I just do this stuff to you.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Yep, and then
So where's the city at on side by sides? Okay,
Hello.
on any street or?
If they did first, it was just a designated route, but I think they're all over.
Okay.
Check with your city council.
I'm just, I mean, this opens it up where I can drive from my house to town and it used to be able to. Or anywhere else. I mean, I had 1 mile of road I could run on. Once in a while to haul it somewhere.
Lucky you.
I'll email Chandra and ask him. But maybe I'll have him.
I guess
create the table.
my only concern is, Todd, is like you said, small
Whack it.
cities are not getting or doesn't have the help or whatever they need to apply. I
Yeah.
just feel like the Baldwins, the St. Denis's, the Andovers, the Tees Grove and whatnot, they're getting left out. Or in our county anyway, I'd say St. Denis. Lamont
But
did
I know
use
that,
it.
yeah, I know that ECIA reaches out to them.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do. That's
But
part of
I,
the fee.
I just don't know.
I think the problem is that
If
their city clerk is probably not there or have the time to deal with that, as much as like a Abby or somebody in Bellevue
Yeah,
that
Yeah.
can fill out reports and get supporting letters and whatnot. I see it. Can you hear me now? Chandra?
So is Highway 61 out here, 4 lane, is that an interstate?
Yeah, the 4 lane, you can't.
Four lane.
You can't
You
cross
can
it.
cross it, but you can't ride it.
Well, it's,
It's not an interstate, it's a commercial industrial network route is what they call it, CIN, I think.
You can cross
so
it.
it's not an interstate highway.
It's not an interstate. highway.
Divided highway.
Okay. Because the notice is, I know where it was at. You cannot cross the interstate system. That makes sense.
Okay.
But you can't drive down that.
No. No. Well, does anybody have any questions for Chandra since he is on?
I still don't know if he can hear us. Can you hear us, Chandra? Chat.
I don't know. Can you hear us, Chandra?
6 maybe.
Apparently he can't, so.
And this goes into effect July 1st.
She signed it last Monday. Or last, Monday, yeah. Oh, we can see
There
him.
he is. We can see him.
Oop. Shut the camera off. Technology. Where's IT when you need him, huh?
Amen.
Yeah, everyone.
I don't know what's wrong, man. I can't hear anything and they can't hear me.
We can now. We just heard you.
And if I take a look here. See what he's.
You text someone, say that, or message them and say we can hear. Shoot, I got a cell number, I could just call.
Yeah. Oh.
Why don't you just go back over to the office and call him and tell
There's
him.
no like Bluetooth device connected to it, is there?
So that's IT, that's Dylan probably.
Hard.
Do they need to manually let you in, or can you?
He's calling me. Try to.
Hey, I'm not able to hear anyone speaking, so I don't know what's going on. So can I be on speaker on your phone?
Well, your dial-up's not working?
No, but nothing from Zoom or Zoom members are working on my side. I don't know why.
All right, well, you're already on speaker, so
Okay, perfect.
you guys hear me all right?
Be careful,
Yeah.
yeah, I can hear fine. Maybe you will just address
So-
their concerns.
The question was, some of the smaller cities in Jackson County, are they applying and not getting awarded, or they're just not making applications? And if they're not making applications, what's the reason? How can we assist them?
So when we send the information, we send it to all the clerks and the JCMO. And we also do like a open workshop, and we invite all the clerks. And whenever we get from export applications, we take it. When the city doesn't submit an application, our understanding is they don't want funding, because we are treating all the cities same, and we are sending all the information to all the cities. And when the clerk comes back and say, I never saw that outpoint, it's here the email that we sent to you guys. So there's nothing much we can do there, because at the end, we can't go to each city and say, what's your project? Because in that case, literally, we are meeting each individual city and asking them for their projects. If they want projects, our understanding, they should apply.
So some of the cities probably are gonna need some assistance from, say, Jackson County or from the secondary road department, or somebody help them look at what projects they need to do or should be doing, and then help them apply, or at least give them information to fill out.
We are there to fill out the information. We are there to get the application ready. What we want from them is at least just to give us a call saying, hey, we are thinking about this project. Is this eligible or not? If you don't even get a call, we assume that they don't want any money. So.
Yeah, because the application is not real detailed. I mean, there's not a whole lot of information that's required.
No, all we need from them is a single page with the project name and the amount they require and when they want to do the project. And then later on, we'll ask for resolution and pictures. That's it.
Yeah, okay. As a follow-up to that, can you put in a table or Excel spreadsheet and email me the history of who's applied and the awards for each fiscal year to date?
Sure, yeah, we can do that. Yep,
All right, thank you. Okay.
thank you.
I guess, yeah, Shonda, if we can stress to some of these smaller communities like a Baldwin, a Monmouth, Andrew, that if they need help, we can certainly, either the county or ECIA can help them fill out that. We'd like to have them use it if that's the case. I mean, I question why, the couple that are awarded is a negative score.
Yeah, because they got, people who are applying to us, they already got funding the previous years, but they're throwing their hat in, saying that, hey, if no one applies, I'll get my funding, and
Sure.
they're getting lucky because no other people, cities are applying. And our question is, when these cities know that they need to apply every year, they throw their hat in, why are the other people not applying when we send the same information to you guys and provide the same details and all that? You don't even call us saying this is a project, that we have a project in place or anything like that, then we can't do much.
Yeah, I understand. I think the smaller city clerks probably don't have the time or the resources maybe to put this all together. I mean, you look at Bellevue's and they got 10 letters of support,
Yeah, I mean, our point is, we are not asking the clerks to do anything. All we are asking the clerk is give us the name of the project, the cost of the project, and what you want to do with the project, like a resurfacing, we want to fix a pothole, or something like that. That's the minimum we need from them. Otherwise, we won't even know what the project is. From
Yeah.
there on, we'll guide them, saying, hey, here is a resolution, get it approved, and give us pictures. That's it. We don't need anything else. If they can't even give that 3 lines of information, then we can't do much.
So Sean, maybe they need to have it put on their agenda for a meeting so everybody hears it. instead of just the clerk.
I think maybe we need to let the city councils know what's going on, so make sure that the clerk is following through
Yeah.
with the council.
So one thing we can do is this year, we will contact the cities and keep us on the agenda. We'll go and present to the council saying, here is what happening with this program. And here is the list of projects that got funded in the last 4 to 5 years. If your city is not applying, we strongly recommend you to apply, and then it's up to them if they want to apply in the next round or not.
That's
Yeah.
great. That's
Okay,
what
that-
needs to happen.
I mean, I certainly believe the ones that were awarded are substantial applications. It looks like they're needed. I looked at the pictures and yeah, it looks like it's a viable project, but I don't want to leave somebody out here.
Right.
And these are only cities, not unincorporated areas.
That's the
Right.
cities.
You can't do it. in-
Cities under,
Unincorporated is already yours anyway.
Yeah.
Hey, Chandra, you don't think it's a matching funds issue, do you?
No, because even though we ask for 20% match, if you see the applications, everyone has more than 20%. If someone wants to have 45,000, we are asking them to come up with maybe like 6,000 to 7,000. But any project they're doing, like resurfacing, milling, or anything like that, which will be at least 40,000 to 50,000. So they need to come up with the rest of the money, which is the match money for this. So one of the mayors at the meeting, I forgot which city he is from, he's surprised that his clerk did not apply because they're doing a $50,000 project this year. I said that would have been perfect because you would have got 25,000 from the pool. If you got selected, that would have been cut your budget to half. He did not know why the clerk did not apply. So
Yeah, so I think the board's point about going directly to the councils is probably the best avenue.
okay, we will get onto their agendas and present to them, and we'll document that so that the councils should not come back and say we never heard from these people. So
All right, get your internet fixed.
yeah, I will.
Get Dylan in there.
All right, thanks, Chandra. Bye.
Just as a side note, I think I gave you a wrong resolution number. This was resolution 904, not 902, just as a clarification.
so do we need to rescind that motion?
That's up to
And-
you. I mean, I'm just saying, as I'm looking and I had it
Make a
down.
motion to correct the mistake on the first one.
Second,
Motion second to change it from 902 to 90, from 904 to 902, or whatever the number was.
That's fine, I will.
Okay. All those in favor?
aye.
Aye. Motion carried.
You want to tell us even enough?
Okay,
Okay, these are signed for you.
all right. Thank you.
I think I'll start.
Yep.
Okay, at this time, we'll be joined by George Doherty and Joanne Cameron and Sarah.
Oh, Morning. Good morning, guys.
So this is with supervisors probably 2 or 3 years ago, in regard to new burials in Pioneer Cemetery. And I believe that may have been at a work session. And you approved the fact that we could do those burials. And we set up some rules and processes to do that. So, and we've started accepting those. So, but since we did that at a work session, I believe there's no minutes indicating that you approved that. And to go along with that, as you're aware that over any burials over 12 in a Pioneer Cemetery, and it disqualifies it from being Pioneer Cemetery. And you also
What's the
agreed-
time frame of that 12?
in the last
50 years.
50 years. So, and you also agreed that if we, by doing these new burials, exceeded 12, you would allow us to continue using our budget to maintain those cemeteries. Even though they technically wouldn't qualify as the state's requirement of a Pioneer Cemetery.
That's the state requirement. We can't
Yes.
change that number.
Right.
Okay.
And Sarah has given us some of the information regarding state rules. And it says that we, meaning you and the commission, together can agree to continue to maintain cemeteries if they exceed the 12 burials in the last 50 years. So, and I have a sense that we have already had this agreement, but it's not documented. And so I would like for us, and Sarah may help us with what's the best route, but I'm thinking it's maybe best that we change our ordinance where we were established and to amend that ordinance to say that we have this agreement, that we're okay with continuing to maintain those cemeteries if they exceed the 12 burials in the last 50 years.
Are you close to 12 in any of them?
Goddard may be one they have, well, before we took it over, they had several plots sold, but they're not obviously in use yet. So I think if all that happens, Goddard would exceed. Is that,
Probably, yes. And then there's the Hazen Cemetery that,
let's
Perhaps.
let's wait on that.
okay,
Okay. That's another topic.
So how close would it be to dropping off some? I mean, the 50-year window keeps moving.
Keeps moving, you're
Moving
correct.
up, yeah.
but, my guess is that it's probably not real
Yeah,
close to.
okay.
So yes, yeah, I know there was established requirements to get into the Pioneer Cemetery. So what are, I guess, I know we also had established a fee, I believe,
Correct.
to buy a plot.
Yes.
And I guess I don't know what the requirements are to get in there. Can anybody get into a cemetery? Do they have to apply? Are they related? Or they have a history to a cemetery or?
It's somewhat loose, but they have to be a Jackson, they're Jackson County resident would be one. If they are a relative, they have relatives there and they don't live in Jackson County, we would still consider. We're also looking strongly at, are they next to this cemetery? Is it on their, accepted off their property? Was it close to their property? Have they done some maintenance there? For example, in Johnson Cemetery, we've got, or not Johnson Cemetery, is it Rathburn?
Rath-
Rathburn, the Johns.
East Union,
East-
East Union.
The Johnsons have been mowing it for 30 years, at a minimal price. So they asked if they could be buried there. And so those are the types of things we're running into, and people that feel they have a connection to them.
Sure.
And so, and I believe you granted us the authority to decide.
Also, it depends on how much space is available.
I can certainly see that in the future, that this could be an issue with people, whether it be any denomination, if there's room in their cemetery or they need to expand, or if if the price, I don't know what the difference is between a common lot and either one of the Lutheran Catholic cemeteries or whatever it may be. I don't know what the difference in price is, but I can certainly see where that might be an issue if I'm 2 miles away from this, and this is where I want to be buried, and this is where my kids want to come and see me. I don't know. It could escalate, I think. Yeah. I don't know how you regulate that other than having the 12 burials in 50 years, or I don't know. Sarah, what's the answer to that?
I think you have to establish your own guidelines and
Yeah.
make sure that they fall within the rules.
Right, I mean, one way would be to try and keep a tight watch on the 50 and 12 and 50. What the code says is that basically, once the Pioneer Cemetery Commission, once a cemetery has been deemed a Pioneer Cemetery and it's taken under the jurisdiction of the commission, provided that the Board of Supervisors and the commission agree, they can continue to care for and maintain those cemeteries. And then at some point, they may fall within that, this may become a fluid thing, where you may get to 13 and 50, but then a couple years later, you're back to 12 and 50. So what I would propose is, if this board is in agreement with that, that we redo the ordinance, the 120, which established the cemetery commission, and just add a section that says that by joint agreement of the Board of Supervisors and the existing commission, that any cemetery that would in now and in the future have between 13 and 24 burials within a 50-year period, the commission gets to continue to maintain and have jurisdiction over it.
Provided there's space available.
Well, yeah, obviously, there's.
Well, I mean,
That's a
that's,
different issue.
that's-
If there's no space available, then we're not gonna be approving lots.
yeah, but, I mean, yeah, whether we can add on or whatever, we certainly can't probably at the county farm, but at a Pioneer, not so much. And who are we or who are you to say, my grandfather, grandfather, and my brother and sister are buried there, but now there's 12 and I can't be buried? Who are we to say, that's a family farm and then you can't be buried?
But even if they didn't have a lot, I mean, my uncle was cremated and placed next to my grandfather's grave, or his father's grave, on the same thing. I mean, that wasn't a pioneer
On the same
cemetery.
plot.
Yeah, on the same plot. So the issue of running out of space isn't that big if you're doing cremation either.
Well, and we do allow that. Cremation, somebody is it 2 or 3?
3.
3,
Does that count as a burial?
It does.
yes.
Because like you said, my sister is buried with my parents too,
Mhm.
on the same plot.
Mhm. So the other thing you just mentioned, Sarah, is the 13 to 24. I'm not sure I understand where that comes from.
That's
If-
actually that next code section.
So if we exceed the 24, then we're in a new ballgame.
Yeah, I think so.
But I don't, I don't think
That's a big increase.
That is a
any of
big
us are gonna see
increase.
that, so.
I would say that you should probably prepare a change to the ordinance 120 so that we can review it and the cemetery commission can review it, and we can come up with a conclusion that meets their needs and protects us and them both. Because we certainly are gonna want you to continue to maintain them.
Are you in agreement with that? That
Yeah,
we should
absolutely.
continue?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah,
Without a doubt.
Yeah, I mean, everything's working really well, but I can see this maybe exploding if that,
Mhm. So then the next piece of, or next topic, I guess we're gonna talk about is Joanne and I were invited by the Washington Township trustees to visit with them regarding the Hazen Cemetery, which is at the intersection of E17 and the Bellevue Preston Road. So it's, I don't know if you're familiar with Ron Kilroy's farm, it's kind of right there. So,
straight ahead from Brown's Farm. Or from E17, it's straight ahead.
correct, go straight into it. So they have, and if you want a copy of this, I can give you a copy, but they have roughly 134 stones in that cemetery. And I went and inspected it. They've got about 14 small broken stones, 12 that are on the ground, 15 that are leaning, and they have 8 large broken stones. And so they have a total of 49 stones that need attention. And they're they're caught, I think, in a sense that they don't have the knowledge. They don't have the volunteers, and so that they're kind of stuck as to what to do with this. I'm not sure that they talked in regard to transferring it to us like we just did with Codfish Hollow and recently with
Got it.
Goddard. So they talked about that and, but they also seem to want to continue control. So I'm not sure they're there yet, but they have 11 burials in the last 50 years. The oldest one of those is 1990. So it's not going to fall off for a long time as far as, if we would, the 12 in the last 15
years.
Yeah, so
So, and I'm sorry, what did you say? Hazen?
Hazen,
Okay,
it's called.
so do you recognize the burials in the last 11, whatever they may be? Are they relation or neighbors or just?
Lisa, is this the one Jim?
No, you were talking about Reeseville.
No, I was not.
Oh,
Can't
Oh,
think.
so then maybe-
Marshall. Jim
Oh.
Marshall.
oh,
Yes.
That's
yes,
where their
this is-
family's
His
buried.
parents are
Yeah.
there.
yes,
Marshall.
okay,
Because I know he's been
yes, this is,
very concerned about
yes.
the
Mhm.
cemetery.
So it's not.
It always looks
It's not a
nice. Who's
pioneer.
taking care of it now, George, you know?
It is?
Well, that would be questionable, but it's under the jurisdiction of the trustees.
Trustees.
Yes.
So our mowers that we hire, are they taking care of that too, or no?
They hire their own.
Gilbert or trustees are doing it.
The trustees are hiring someone.
And they're not doing a very good job about it, I guess.
Oh, really?
I think that
Nice.
also kind of sparked this conversation.
Especially over Memorial Weekend.
Yeah,
We had
he
quite a
was-
few calls.
Very upset.
There is a burial coming up probably this summer, so someone has passed away, been cremated, and he will be buried there this summer, so that's number 12.
If we change the resolution to go up to 24, does that, can we still get it in there on that or not?
Well, I think we'd be okay if they turn the cemetery over to the commission prior to that 13th burial. That's my understanding. It was, if they do turn it over to us, and they may or may not.
And it does qualify for pioneer?
Yes,
At
it
the
would,
moment.
it would at that point, yes.
And then, and then you
Till
have
the
the
next burial.
then you have the responsibility to maintain also.
Correct. It's a fairly large cemetery, like I said, 134, that'd probably be one of the largest that we have. And it also has maybe room for 3 or 4 rows of new burials on the east end. So they have a lot of room. And they have some requests for burials, and they also have some several lots that are sold that are not used yet. So for example, I went to a meeting and I'm not sure who the gal was, but she said she and her father had been mowing the cemetery for several years. And in exchange for not getting paid to mow, they gave them a couple lots. So, I know there's more coming,
When you say they, you mean the trustees.
the trustees, yes.
And they have the authority to do that, correct?
Yes.
Sure they would.
So is it possible to take the part that's where the new graves are that aren't used? Could that be a separate cemetery and just make the other part of it a
Never thought of
pioneer
that.
cemetery, and that would be the new?
That would
new
be a
addition?
Sarah question.
Well, if you're establishing, I don't know what the guidelines, but are you establishing a new cemetery?
You
I
would
would think
be,
you
and then
would be.
you got a whole other,
Yeah.
because I'm guessing that this.
It would be a
cemetery
subdivision of the other
Yeah.
cemetery.
I'm guessing that
Just-
this cemetery predates the need for perpetual care funding. And so I don't know if the trustees would want to get into that. One thing I mentioned to George is as he kind of mentioned, I'm not sure the trustees really are wanting necessarily to give up the cemetery so much as they want the Pioneer Cemetery to help them fix it. So, and there
So-
may be an issue with they have a levy limit for cemeteries. And if I remember correctly, they're not at that limit. So they could be levying more funds to help them pay to repair this cemetery.
So as I understood that levy, though, there's two pieces to their levy. One is, one part of it is limited, and that's for non-owned cemeteries. And, you know, and we really haven't yet established, they believe they own it, but I'm, you know, again, I'm sure the records are somewhat sketchy. So, but if it's an owned cemetery, I'm not sure that they have restrictions on what they levy.
So the trustees, can they levy for that cemetery even if it's not a pioneer cemetery? Since it's in their township or whatever,
If it becomes a pioneer cemetery, I don't think they can levy anymore.
but they are levying now.
They levy it now, yeah,
Yeah.
that's part of their,
Okay,
you know.
that's part of their.
Township trustees have basically two
Oh.
duties. They have to provide fire protection, and they have to provide, take care of the cemeteries within their
Oh,
township.
okay,
So, and they have separate, if I understand correctly, Lisa, they have separate levying amounts for those two items, right?
That is correct, between owned and not owned.
And then also fire is separate from
Yes,
that. as
yes.
well.
So, and to clarify, I think what you meant, they can levy for a pioneer cemetery, but not if it's under ours jurisdiction.
Correct.
So they can levy to do it. I just don't think they have the knowledge basis what to do. And
well, if they can levy, can they hire you to do it?
Well, that's what I'm saying. If you're willing to do it, if the commission is willing to do it, can they either hire you or would you do it? My assumption is that they don't want to give up control of that cemetery.
and I don't want to speak for them, but that's kind of the sense I got at the meeting is, you know, because they questioned, well, how much do you charge for a lot? Do we have to charge that much? You know, can we allow these new burials? Do we have to fit your rules? Because we have a set of rules that says this is how the cemetery needs to be maintained if it comes under our jurisdiction.
Well, they certainly have a set of rules that they have to abide by too, correct? Whether it be a town, a trustee, owned by the trustees or the township or whatever it may be.
You would think so, but that
Well, as
wasn't
many
discussed.
times as I have been called, they are not taking their
Oh,
responsibilities
because I always
serious.
thought that looked pretty good back there, but I never got that close. See, they don't drive back in, you know. It almost appears to be private property going across Gilbert, if that's what you're doing.
And in fact, the easement is on Cool's property, is what I've been told, and then the cemetery would have been on Kilbrook's property. But I'm pretty sure it's exempted off of,
Oh, Gilbert going all the way around that?
well, apparently not. 'Cause he met us there, he met me there
Oh, yeah.
at the cemetery and
The rent,
talked about it, and he told me that was the case.
yeah, he owns on the north side, Cool owns on the north side.
So I don't think we're finished talking to that group and coming to an agreement. But the purpose today was to see if that if that cemetery, let's say they exceed 12, let's say they get to 13 this year. Does that prohibit us from accepting it as a commission and maintaining it?
I'd say it was a legal question.
So, Iowa Code 331.325 subsection C actually deals with this issue. And it says that the supervisors and the commission can jointly decide to allow the commission to care for any cemetery that had between 13 and 24 burials within the previous 50 years. However, a cemetery that had 13 or more burials may not be considered a pioneer cemetery. So the code does allow the cemetery commission to use their funds to care for a cemetery that's technically not a pioneer cemetery if the board allows.
Okay, so now Joanne indicated there'll be a burial this summer, and that will be the 13th.
That'd be
Oh, that would be the 12th.
12.
Okay, so if we do it up until that point, then it could remain as a pioneer cemetery.
Then it would become a pioneer cemetery under the jurisdiction of the commission, just like Codfish Hollow. And then when those other lots have already been sold, start getting burials, then we'd be in that realm that we were just talking about, where it's technically no longer a Pioneer Cemetery, but it can remain under the jurisdiction, provided that there's that joint agreement.
Well, is our next step to try to get some of the trustees to have a conversation, whether it's with you or with us, or to a joint, to see let them know what the benefits would be?
But I thoroughly think it's an agreement between the commission and trustees, because they're either gonna say, yeah, I wanna give up jurisdiction to you, or you'll say, yeah, I will do the work for X amount of dollars, or something to that effect. I don't think that, it's gotta be an agreement with between you two. I mean.
But we play a part of that.
We do, but I would think we would go with the recommendation of the commission and or the trustees to a point, their agreement.
So I guess what we're asking today is, would you give us authority to make that decision with them if we decide if we are willing to take it over?
Well, obviously, you're gonna do the work. And so I would certainly give you that authority. I don't know.
I guess I would like to have you come back here and explain your, whatever you talked about, and
What the
I
outcome of your
don't know why we
discussion
wouldn't
was.
agree to it, but the point is, I would like to, before you agree to it, I would like to hear it, I think. anyway.
One thing that would bother me though is would there be other cemeteries requesting the same?
And then again, I think it's your decision at that point.
So can you use their levy then at that point? I mean, if you take it over, can you levy more on the properties in that township?
So if the Pioneer Cemetery assumes it under their jurisdiction, like we did with Codfish Hollow, then they will cease levying as part of their township because it's no longer their jurisdiction. If we enter into an agreement where the Pioneer Cemetery Commission assists them in fixing the tombs and protecting the cemetery, then I think we have an agreement where they're going to reimburse the Pioneer Cemetery Commission any funds that they used in that endeavor. That would be my recommendation.
Oh, that's absolutely. They should be contributing the funds to do the work.
And then in that
I mean,
case,
that's
they
how
would
we like it.
continue to levy under their own township to continue to maintain.
And I guess my comment would be, if there are other cemeteries that approach you, you'll have to look them at each one of them at their own merit and decide whether you do or you don't.
So one of the things, I guess, and I don't know if this is their thinking, but obviously we are levying tax dollars to do cemeteries in the entire county. And our levy affects everyone in the county.
Mhm.
If they levy in a heavy taxing of their group, it's just their township. So I don't know if they're thinking in terms of why are we taxing our township when we have 25 other cemeteries that the entire county is paying for. Now, I don't know if that's their thinking or
That's a good point, though.
what they're up to,
Yeah.
but
Well, that's what I was wondering, if they stop levying for their township, does it go? Can we increase their levy for the county? Yeah, I mean.
we would probably have to. Now, obviously, our current situation is we have some excess funds. But, eventually, if we took over Hazen, mowing of that would be, fairly expensive. We probably would cost us more than it's costing them, because obviously they're not getting it done very well. And then maintaining or fixing those 50 stones would be costing some funds.
Oh, absolutely.
So we would have to levy a heavier amount to cover that.
Now, and Lisa, this is a question for you. The Pioneer Cemetery Commission's funds come from the general fund, correct? They don't have a separate levy?
They have a separate
They
levy.
do, okay.
Yeah, they do.
Yes.
Well, I think at this point, you gotta have a conversation with the trustees and see what they're at.
And maybe some of the trustees need to be on the cemetery board.
Well, yes, we're having a work day at Cottonville tomorrow. And I've invited their trustees and the people who are at their meeting to come and at least see what we're doing. And so that, maybe in a little bit of knowledge base, maybe they'll take some initiative to do some things themselves. Some of these, if you straighten up a stone, it's not going to be that much, it's not that big a deal. They could be doing some of it themselves now in expending very, very little funds. But, so yeah, I guess, being the first meeting, I only went to one meeting with them. I was kind of listening to their conversation, their thoughts. And, I asked a few questions, but I didn't know their financial scenario at the time. So I wasn't pressing them on what they're doing with that. But,
I did some work on the Cottonville Cemetery. Like our country school took that over every summer. Went up low, and it was terrible. I mean, it was just a weed
But-
patch.
Like Virgil Moses.
This is like 1965 though, so it's been a while ago.
It's in pretty good shape, but there's about a dozen stones that are either fallen down or broken and stacked in the corner, so we're trying to put those back up.
Well, I guess our next step would be for you to visit with them and come back and let us know what kind of an agreement or what you worked out or what we need to do from this point on.
Well, my other concern is if they're at roughly at 12 right now, and they've got, I don't know if it was a half dozen to 10 still sold, already sold, that aren't used. And they've got that section they want to sell. They're going to exceed the 24. So Sarah, do you have any thoughts as to if it exceeds 24?
Then I think it would have to revert back to the township.
Well, they have to understand that.
So now, and I wasn't equipped.
We're not gonna change the code. I mean, they have to understand what the code says. So.
I wasn't equipped with that knowledge when I met with them, so we'll give them some more facts and give them some things to think about. But, if in the short run, I guess, as Sarah suggested, we could help them repair. And then they could, they may have to reimburse us.
Yep.
If we go that route. Okay. Did I miss anything?
No.
I brought my master here. Knowledge base.
As far as reimbursing them, for our work, that would be very, very difficult, I think, to determine
It would be just cost of materials.
just cost of material and volunteer labor.
Yeah, our volunteers.
So then other cemeteries could ask for the same.
But
Maybe they could.
take them at their merit and what you want to do and what you think you should do.
I talked to one of the trustees over the phone. He stopped at my house. He's very, very concerned. He said, I'm going to talk to anybody that I can find that has relatives buried there and see what they feel about this.
Sure.
And we've never had that before. He really, really did his job well, but I think we need to explain to them perhaps again, what the benefits would be. And I can't see them getting very far on their own.
Yeah, I don't think so.
No.
Is there levy enough to even cover the mowing of it?
Mm,
I mean, with their, just barely. Huh?
Barely. And they have 18 trees in this one.
Yeah,
Probably need to be taken out.
and the fence
A good share of them.
isn't too big either. So it's quite a,
They would fix the fence. I think the neighbor would just fix the fence.
oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, so,
Well, it's got livestock in there, I'm sure.
He said there's no livestock anyway, so it's.
okay,
Well, let us know and make an appointment with Luann when you're ready to come back and visit with us, then we'll do what we can to help you.
thank you.
No, thank you,
Thank you guys.
both of you and your commission.
Thank you, Sarah.
Okay, next on the agenda is Lisa Smith.
Good morning.
Morning.
This morning, I need a motion to approve the minutes of the June 14th, 2022 board proceedings as written by Auditor Smith and the June 16th, 2022 board proceedings as written by Human Resource Administrator Becky Chapin and authorized publication in the official newspapers.
A motion and a second to approve publication of the board minutes. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carried.
I need a motion to approve and authorize the auditor's office to issue warrants in the publication of the claims listing in the amount of $963,071.92.
Motion to approve.
Would you like to elaborate just a little bit on that?
So this is getting toward the end of the fiscal year, and so we've got departments that are, you know, we're trying to get budgets finalized out for this fiscal year to get payments made. In this claims listing, as always, we have a lot of rock again in the secondary roads budget. This claims period, we also are paying for 2 sheriff's cars for the sheriff's office, 2 deputy cars. That's 108,000 there. We also are paying the additional amount that was owed for the councils over at the law center, 388,000
For
Yeah.
911.
for 911 purposes. Let's see what else is in there. There's just all kinds
And
of.
isn't
So,
We've
that
also,
from the ARP money?
right,
yes, we did take that 108,000 from our ARPA funds, yes.
and the three.
And the console, 911 console.
That's what, yes, so
Yeah,
that came
yeah.
from the ARPA funds, yes.
So the public actually knows and understands that we're using that to benefit for their tax.
Absolutely, I mean,
I mean, it benefits everyone. We've got to pay it either way.
Yeah.
So it benefits everyone that we don't have to tax. for.
And that's what the ARP money was for, to benefit the
so
public.
we
and
took the
public
388
safety.
from ARP, the 108 from ARP, so you've got $500,000 right there. You know, we're just trying to, like I said, get towards the end of the fiscal year here and to get a few things paid off. And we'll talk about some transfers that we needed to do also. I was trying to think what else was in there. I don't know. Yeah, there's quite a bit. Okay.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, I mean, like I said, there's always rock and gas, fuel prices. We're just, you know, as a county, we're just like everybody else. We're feeling that pinch. It's a considerable amount of money every claims period for fuel. And again, there's nothing we can do about it, but like everybody else, we have to pay it. So,
I guess we're being as diligent as we can be and
yes, yes.
with the tax dollars that are allocated.
This is all good money. It's not like we're just doing things to spend money. We're doing good things with the money. And as we look at the end of the fiscal year, we still are in a very positive, very good stance when it looks at our ending fund balances and such. So we look okay there. We're fine.
I would second the motion.
We have a motion and a second to approve the claims as presented. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carried.
I also, a motion is needed to accept and place on file the Veterans Affairs Commission meeting minutes for the April 20th, 22 meeting as presented.
Move to approve.
Second. A motion and a second to approve the Veterans Affairs Commission meeting minutes. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carried.
So I said that I would come back this week when I talked to you last week, and I would ask that, I don't believe that we need to have another motion, but the handwritten warrant to Scott County did not happen. We are still having some discussions with our fiscal agent concerning our ending fund balance and if the funds from the region need to come to Jackson County or not. So Shelley has been in contact with Lynn Bopes here in Jackson County, and she's been talking with people in Scott County. So I still would like to see that motion still play a part, that we may still have to do a handwritten warrant when it comes to the region funds. And hopefully, I'm fingers crossed, I would hope to be able to tell you all of the details at next week's meeting, which would be our final meeting of the year.
I was a little surprised at our meeting yesterday down there. That we were the only ones that had paid anything.
Really?
We're the only ones, we had given them $500,000. None of the other counties have submitted any of their pool and from their own counties.
Really? I believe, and based on the conversation that Shelley and I had this morning with Lynn Bopes, I believe we'll be making some phone calls this week and be discussing with other counties. The questions that Jackson County has in relation to the other counties, we're gonna have a good discussion about what to do next and how to do it. And I know that the clock is ticking. Today is the 21st of June, and I understand we have to have this all done. So if you could just know that we did not use the handwritten warrant from last week, we hopefully within the next week will be.
But there
using
was
it.
not an expiration date on that.
Oh, there's no
handwritten warrant.
sunset on it.
And
is
So I
there?
that's
just-
why we did it the way
We're
we
working,
did
I
it,
guess
so
that's-
that when you got the
Yeah.
final figure, it could be taken care of.
We
But
still
I
have
know that
questions, yes.
David Farmer said yesterday that we were the only one that had submitted any of our funds. So,
Well, then that's. Never mind.
That's okay, we're working
Well, I
on it.
mean, we're
Yeah.
gonna play by the same set of rules that the seven other counties that are in the
Yeah.
region are playing by, so
there's four.
5 altogether.
Did they check through yet?
The reason that I brought Shelley over, because I think you're gonna have questions, and I want you to understand that today I'm asking for a motion to approve resolution number 902-06-21-2022 to transfer $100,000 from the general basic fund, the 1000 fund, to the capital projects fund, which is the 33,001 fund, effective June 21st, 2022.
And that's for the courthouse capital improvement fund, not the jail project fund.
Okay.
It's
Motion to
been
approve.
our, go ahead.
I mean, we've been talking about this for the last 3 years. and-
Yes,
and
we
that
have.
was our desire is to
Okay.
make to move forward and to make sure that we are on the positive side of thinking here, so.
Well,
Absolutely.
I
and
think
that's
it's
why.
extremely important at this point because we're talking about some changes within the personnel within the courthouse,
Yes.
so there are some needs that we may have down the road that might have some cost involved.
And financially, we are in good shape. We have looked at our ending fund balances. This is very appropriate.
Yeah.
And it's very necessary.
Well, you don't buy as many sticks for the same amount of money anymore.
No,
so
that's
I
for darn
just-
sure.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
so, no, where were we at? Did
So
you
I just asked for a
want a
motion.
resolution?
Looks to me like Larry made.
Need the motion? Yes.
I would second.
Put a motion in a second to put $100,000 in the from the general basic fund into a capital project fund for the courthouse.
For the courthouse.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carried.
I also need a motion to approve resolution number 903-06-21-2022, moving $2,075 in appropriations from the Human Services and $4,810 from substance abuse to the nurses for $6,885.
That's to cover the additional expense for the health nurses that it will cover in this last fiscal year in July and August, I believe it was. We were paying for expenses, grant money expenses for the previous year because we did not get the bill until this year. So that money is to help cover that previous year's expenses, so that now this year we will be, starting next year, it will be a wash. We won't have any accrued. Next year, the grant money that we've got set aside or set up for them, they'll be able to use all of it. We will not have to, hopefully not have to amend, barring any COVID money or anything coming like that. But so that's why.
I would move to approve.
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carried.
That's all that I have for the board today. Unless you have any other questions.
Good year.
Okay, thank you.
This time we'll be joined by Luann Goki, our administrative assistant. Todd, are you here to be here with Sarah?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Calendar this week. This evening at 6 o'clock is a conservation board meeting in Hurstville for Larry. Tomorrow morning, Wednesday, June 22nd, is a Macokota leadership team meeting by Zoom for Larry, and it is at 7 o'clock. It says 7:30 in your
Okay. I know the agenda said 7. so-
7 o'clock, yep.
Okay, thanks.
Also at 9 a.m. tomorrow is an IRIS board meeting in Dubuque or by Zoom for Larry. So you need to let me know which way you're gonna go, so I can let them know.
Yeah.
Okay. Thursday, June 23rd at 9 a.m. is an RPA meeting for Jack and Larry. And I believe that's in Dubuque or by Zoom as well. So you can let me know again. I know Jack will drive up there if he can, so. At noon on Thursday is Bellevue Leadership Committee meeting by Zoom for Mike. And also at noon is a one-stop certification informational meeting by Zoom for Jack. It has to do with workforce. 6 o'clock Thursday night is the Jackson County Economic Alliance Annual Meeting and Dave Hires retirement celebration in Bellevue for all of you. Friday, June 24th at 2:30, the supervisors will hold a special meeting. That's a possible closed session, and I've cited the Iowa Code section there on the calendar. Monday, June 27th at 4 p.m. I tentatively have Jack down for an early childhood Iowa Council meeting in DeWitt. And at 5 o'clock, a Mississippi Valley Workforce Executive Board meeting by Zoom, also for Jack. Our next regular meeting will be Tuesday, June 28th at 9 a.m. That morning, Jack possibly has a meeting at 10:30, the Iowa Workforce Office hours by Zoom. And I think that was open to anybody who wanted to go to that. All right, today my first order of business is a fireworks permit for Brant Moore on July 2nd.
So what was the address to that?
39950 195th Street in Bellevue.
And that was, who was the last one? Brigham? Not the same, that was a different one.
I think Brant's done this twice, hasn't he? Yeah, this is the second one this year for Brant. It's the same address every time.
Okay.
Yep.
I would move to approve.
Second.
I do have some discussion though, Jack, if I could.
Okay,
There's some things come up, I guess, before that has come up with fireworks in the past, and I know that the fire departments are talking about it. So they classify them as a class 1, 2, or 3, whatever they are. And you've got to have a license to do these. So I think there's going to be further action on some of these going down the road. Just for the safety sake of, be it livestock and be it, property or whoever is using these devices, that if it's called a class 2 or if it goes how many feet or whatever it is. So that,
100 or 500.
I mean, it's something that they have concerns about. So, but until we get further into it, we're at that stage.
Okay, and then,
We did.
Okay.
oh, give to-
Oh, second. Or did we vote?
I seconded. Yeah, we didn't.
all those in favor of the fireworks permit?
Aye.
Aye, motion carried.
On to appointments. We're working with the Veterans Affairs Commission today, and the first thing I'm looking for is a motion to accept the resignation of Tom Waters from the Veterans Affairs Commission after 6 years.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to accept the resignation of Tom Waters. And all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried, and make sure that we send him a letter of appreciation.
Thank you for your service.
Next, I'm looking for a reappointment of John Pitlow to the Veterans Affairs Commission for another 3-year term to expire in June 30th, 2025.
Motion to approve.
I would second.
We have a motion and a second to reappoint John Patillo. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
I'm also looking for a motion to appoint Gregory Stalker to the Veterans Affairs Commission to fill the vacancy left by Tom Waters' resignation for a 3-year term.
I would approve. I don't know Gregory, but I've heard good things. So
Yeah, I know Greg.
So do I. I know him very
Interesting
well.
guy.
Yeah.
good appointment, I heard. Yep.
A short story about Greg when he was in Iraq. They were going through over Baghdad, and he said, "Look, I'm a mechanic," but he was on the thing. He said he'd look out the back, and all the alarms on all the cars were going off, the lights were flashing. He said it was pretty cool.
Making a lot of noise, huh?
But they're also taking fire coming in too, so.
All those in favor of Gregory Stalker being appointed to the Veterans Affairs?
Aye.
Aye, motion carried.
And then we wanted to talk a little bit about the lease on the county farm,
Right?
that if we decide to terminate that lease, that has to be terminated by September 1st. The lease is due to expire in February of 2023, in February. So
And that's the 3rd year.
that's the 3rd year. I do believe there's a line in the lease that says it can be renewed year to year. So my only question to you is, what do you want to do at this point?
I don't know, we've had a lot of people bidding on it. I think it should be open.
Well, certainly the way the farmland is and commodity prices are, I think it's only justified that we put it up for bid for another 3 years at least. I mean, I know renters don't like less than that because they build their land up according to the way they operate or how they farm it, but I think it's our responsibility at this point, the way commodity prices are and what farm ground is doing. It's no secret, it's like everything else that's part of inflation, but I think it's our responsibility to do that. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that we should put it up for bid again.
That would make
So whatever the process may be, we will certainly send them a letter by September, and the process, I think, worked good last time, right? I mean, they let them bid and they're able to come here and we open the bids and they're able to raise their bid if they so desire.
Right.
That answer your question?
It answers my question. Lisa, I can start with you. Yeah, to make a motion.
Did you make a motion for that?
Okay,
I would make a motion to do that.
and the motion is to advise him that the lease expires, right? By September 1st, we need to do that.
It'll be terminated by the end of February, and then we'll start the process to bid it out.
So are you
Is
going to
that
have
part of the
Sarah
motion?
take care of that?
Yes.
So your motion
She's sitting
should
right
be.
here.
Oh, okay. Oh, sorry, I didn't see. Come in. Okay, so your motion is to have Sarah terminate the farm lease with Anthony Reed.
And continue with the process to
Receive bids on the
another
lease of the
3-year
property.
contract.
And I think we should have a review on the farming practices. I don't know if we require cover crops on that property now or not, or. I think we just need to look at it and see if it's up to the standards.
Well, we have time between now and September to look at it to see if there's anything that we would want to add or take away from the contract and move forward with Sarah's assistance.
Yeah, in the past, I think we went by the FSA conservation program.
Yeah.
Second.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carried.
Thank you. The only other thing I have under my part is discussion on the GIS position and what you want to do with that, because nothing has been decided at this point.
And I don't think that at this point, we're ready to make a decision.
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
So do you need a motion to table that?
Well,
Is it
the last
action
time
item?
we tabled something, it never came back up for discussion.
Well, I think we need to leave it on there every week, but we need to make a decision where we're gonna go with it. I would have, if you wanna invite Buck and maybe Jess over, I don't know, that's up to you if you wanna discuss it today or not. And we have some people waiting on us today here. but-
Yeah. I think that's something we can discuss with Becky when she comes in for human resource and personnel. We can add that as a part of that work session this morning.
So I guess I would make a motion to table it to discussion till our work session anyway.
Second.
So moving in second to table any action on the GIS position at this point in time. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carried.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And we do have a series of work sessions today, one with Sarah Davenport to discuss the new ATV law and the effect on Jackson County ATV ordinance. And then Lynn Volks will be here to discuss the Mental Health Commission meeting that was held yesterday, and Becky Chapin will be here for Human Resources, along with Andrew Long, the Jackson County Jail Administrator. And then there are various boards and commissions that any of the board members can fill us in on. So at this time, we'll recess. I don't know if we're going to need to take any action on any of those work sessions, so we'll just recess, and we're joined by Sarah.
To adjourn.
Hang on here. Are we back in session?
This time we'll reconvene the meeting, and we've had our work sessions, and there's no further business to come before the board, so.
I just want to comment on we had a DCAT meeting last Friday.
Oh, okay.
Before I forget about it. And there was, I mean, everything's working real smoothly. I just want to comment on it. There is some new programs that they're doing with adolescents. I shouldn't say adolescents, but I want to say elementary, 2 to 6 or something like that, where they're implementing. A gentleman in Florida started who had some issues, and it's kind of a different program where they actually text these kids every morning. They don't know who it is, of course, or anything like that. Well, all they have is a number, and just give them a positive text in the morning to say something nice and give approve. This is, and the stats on it are really good, how it's helping out. So I thought it was really interesting if we could implement that somewhat in the schools, make a problem this big before it gets this big.
Are there members of school administration that attend those meetings? Or they know, would they be aware of that?
Yeah, Tom wasn't in on the meeting, or Belgius anyway, and on this meeting, so I don't know where he was, but I've got it wrote down, and I'll have him call down there and get information on it, see how he can get in on the program. But the money's coming in that we needed and allocated to where it's supposed to go. Things are working pretty smoothly. The county home, we're still waiting on some leveling process on the septic field. That was a little worse than what we thought, so.
Really?
Yeah, no, we had talked about that. The guy was out there gonna get the seating done. He said, there's a 4-foot mound in that thing. He said, I can't see that.
4-foot
I
mound.
can't do it. Well, it's just, apparently it's a lot worse. To the naked eye, and a lot of the dirt that Marty had put in there, spent 8-foot dirt, of course, it's settled. Yeah, these secondary roads have agreed to, there's a dozer sitting there, a low pressure one, so ground pressure. They've got a gentleman that will do it from secondary roads, but he said, like we talked about before, the vegetation is rooted pretty deeply, so they're gonna kill it first, and then that was it. So again, we're in the process, and the lighting we give him to go ahead with, I don't know where he's at with that.
Is there anybody from Area Education Association that comes to your DCAT meetings?
Time to time, yeah. You mean like local Macocata?
Well, for this AEA,
Comar usually shows, Hepker shows from, is it? Where's she at?
what Hepker?
Lonnie? I believe he's with Clarence Loudon maybe, or something down that way. Wheatland maybe, or someplace down that way. He's with.
I was just gonna say Aaron Rome, that is on the Mental Health Commission down in Davenport. He might be interested in that program that you were talking about.
It's really, it was really intriguing to me to have the superintendent.
He is, I'll tell you, he's a great guy.
You know.
And I can get you his contact.
And I asked him also when we were in this meeting, of course, I was on Zoom with him, but I said, how long has this been implemented? How long they've been using it? And what the effects are showing? It's really a positive notion, or, the process is. I guess you're talking to, what would it be? I guess it probably when second graders wouldn't have phones probably, but you're talking probably
I
from
think you'd be
5th grade.
surprised.
5th grade on, yeah, I would guess, I don't know, so. Yeah.
I'll get you his contact. Maybe you can share. with
Sure,
him.
yeah, and I can share with him who to contact Nicole down there. Or,
Yeah. Okay, anything else? We did have our Limestone Bluffs meeting last week, but I was very late because of our interview. But Stephanie was her really official meeting as the new director, and I thought she did a really good job. And they've got a lot of things going on. Last night we had our Together We Build meeting, and I think they are getting so frustrated with the wait that they were talking about some additional fundraising programs, and they did get on the Great Give Day. They got some really nice donations, and so they were pretty excited about that, but we're coming there last night. Other people had commitments, but they do want to have a rather a lengthy conversation with John about where we're at and where we're going. So other than that, you already heard about the mental health disability services, so
There's no further business. I make a motion to adjourn.
a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor? Aye, motion carried.